Descent into Darkness, Season 2, A Call of Cthulhu campaign. Welcome back to Deathwatch's Call of Cthulhu campaign Descent into Darkness Season 2, where the earth is hollow and serpent folk plot our demise. My name's Travis, I'll be your keeper today, and let's get an introduction from our investigators.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm playing Johann Mueller, or the husk of Johann, and we'll see if I can make it out of this room.
I'm Brandon. I'm playing Dr. Wallace Andrews, and I'm currently looking down into an abyss at a ghostly apparition of a building, and the abyss stares back at me.
Uh-oh.
I'm Justin. I'm playing Lance Monroe, who's slightly crazier after some of his recent exploits, and he's also in a dream state, staring down at a giant void-like cavern with a house in the middle of it.
I'm John, playing James Jimmy Whitmire, who is also a husk of Johann Mueller.
Well, you
But
husk
really,
it like
I'm
I
just
do.
in the dream state.
All right. So our scene opens in a nondescript room with the disheveled form of Johann Mueller coming to, or at least coming to your senses. You weren't laying down sleeping or anything like that. You were crouched there. And in this delusional state you are in, you see your friend, Mr. Kimball, along with some of his ghoulish brothers sort of lurking at the limits of this room and this edge of the light that shines forth from a crystalline structure in the ceiling. And they're not approaching you. They're just kind of in the shadows looking at you. Now, the last time we had left off, you had summoned the Dark Hunter and commanded it to go on a killing spree.
Yeah, which I hear it failed horribly. So,
Well, it's not
I would not say failed
done
horribly,
Yeah.
but
I'm sitting at the table with apparently Lance Monroe and Dr. Andrews, so
yeah, it sucked up a lot of our resources to stay alive.
failed horribly.
Where was I going? Oh, right. You had mentioned that you wanted to use Meriwether's lifeline to pull yourself out of your delusional state.
Yeah.
Because if you stay in it right now, you have to make the sand loss to see the ghouls again. But you can make any choice you want
So
to.
what you're hinting is we can get the ghoul sand loss out of the way and then Maryline it, or Meriwether
you
lifeline it.
Well, they may not actually be there. They could just be a delusion. But let me give you a few more details about the room. You have in your hands are stained with ink, and you have some pen. You think it was yours, something you carried around, and you see symbols, every manner of protective symbol you could think of from, right, like etched on your skin. And go ahead.
Is the pen covered in blood? Did I try to trepan myself with it at some point?
Yes, it is bloody.
Thank you.
It is. Of course, you can't see if you were successful in that regard. But maybe because you can see Mr. Kimball and his ghoulish brothers, your third eye has been opened. But yes, anyhow, that's where you are. They're lurking in the background. You still have this vague sense of everybody being against you, everybody out to get you. That's why you have the protective symbols. You smashed up something into a powder, and you sit in the middle of a circle of Solomon, by which Solomon could command demons, and you're waiting for something to come and get you. You have a shred of humanity left. It expresses itself in some weak feeling, and when you examine this feeling within yourself, it's like looking at a photo you don't remember taking, so you're trying to construct the circumstances. I can see that that's me, but I have no idea how I got there and who those people I am with are. And after a moment, you recognize this is a weak fluttering of guilt, maybe? Probing at your psyche. But anyhow, I will open it up to you.
Herr Kimball, you have brought friends. I see.
Yes, Mr. Mueller, it's dangerous for you to acknowledge me, so please give me a sanity roll.
That's where you are wrong, Herr Kimball. I am so close to enlightenment. Sand. Where the hell is it? There it is.
All right. You've lost sanity to ghouls before.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a count somewhere?
I don't think I kept it. I lost it, twice, for sure.
I will see if I made a note on your character.
Because the first time would have been in the graveyard, and the second time would have been when he appeared in my room and sent me on my... what did I do on that one? I think that's where I ended up in the sane asylum in my mind.
Okay, so it looks like you lost 2 points for that one out of a max 4, so roll a d4.
All right, guys. The dice was with me when I last was here. I need to lose 4 points to drop below my Cthulhu mythos, I believe. At which point, everything will become known to me. I feel it. 1d4. Bam.
Oh. Yes, so with a point of sanity loss, you, of course, go right back into a temporary bout of madness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since you're on your own, these are the summary ones. They take you dark again for a number of hours. Did you have some direction for Mr. Mueller, like what he might do when he goes insane?
I think for the most part, like just play to his, like when he's sane, he's a coward and a liar.
Mm-hmm.
When he's insane, he's fairly brash, power hungry, and straightforward. So,
okay.
And you added to it that he's highly paranoid right now, so he would also be that.
Act in that way. Okay, so you, as you're plunged back into a landscape of ineffable shadows, you do have some visions of people, you're not sure who they were, moving you in your delirious state, some journey through a constricted place, and then where you were brought to this room, and you remember being afraid of those people, and that's why you had begun drawing the symbols. And it seems like these indistinct shadows start to form into these people with their broad-brimmed hats again, but we will fade to black on you for a moment and return to the subterranean ridge, where you see a path leading down to the floor of a great hollow in the earth, in the center of which is manifested a ghostly version of the barn. And intermittently, the three of you, Dr. Andrews, Mr. Monroe, and Mr. Whitmire, see those irregular patterns of light that come from 5 different spokes out on different ridges across this valley into the ghostly version of the barn. And you can see that path makes its way through what looks like a complex forest of stalagmites. What would you like to do?
Is there like kind of a clear path around the outside of this chamber?
Yeah, you could circle around the ridge.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to explore just a little bit in each direction, see if we can see if there are any other entrances or exits to this chamber.
Okay. All right, so Monroe takes off in a direction around this ridge. Do the two of you choose to follow him?
Yeah, I'll go
will.
with him. Yeah.
Give me a spot hidden roll.
Almost a hard.
Okay, Monroe and Whitmire had a regular success, and there are certain points where this ridge draws closer to this forest of stalagmites, and the two of you realize that you're not looking at natural stalactites. You're looking at, well, it looks like nothing more than a cityscape, but in some smaller scale.
Okay.
And I think...
So it almost looks like there are avenues or roads between them.
Yeah. At your original point, they were too shadowy to make out such details, but since you guys are both Boston natives, you realize that you are looking at some scale model of Boston here.
Oh.
Is there anything recognizable?
Yeah, that's what clues you onto it. You see streets that you've been down, structures that you've been inside. They're all monocolor, so that detail is missing. And it still evokes some natural process. You're not sure how. It doesn't seem to be chiseled exactly, like the pieces are all one in a way.
What do you think they're mapping this for?
Well, so as we go around, do we continue to see those pulses
Yeah.
come through?
Yeah, you're nearing one of the other spokes that this light comes out of.
The way that they're coming in and crossing this map of Boston, basically, do they line up with like where I know that there are ley lines and things like that?
One of the things you noticed was that relatively bare space where the Boston Commons was or is, and so you see it run along the path that a few days past you and Mr. Mueller had walked along.
Okay. So yeah, I'll mention that I believe that this is a scale model of Boston that they are using as kind of a conduit for these ley lines in focusing the energy here as well as in Boston.
So did these pulses, where did they end? Did they just like taper off or?
They all terminate at the barn.
Okay. So obviously it seems like they're drawing power to that. Maybe we should explore that in the waking world.
Yeah, I agree. I think we
in the next opportunity.
Another thing I'd like to do is try and note any ley lines that I don't know about in Boston.
Okay.
So
right.
See if there are any other points of power. Like, do the pulses come from a point of power, or do they extend off the map and come in?
You don't see where they originate from.
Okay.
Because they come out from beyond the cavern.
Okay. So they don't just pop up in like that section where the Boston Commons, where we know that.
Right. They run along it as though it's, some conduit.
Okay.
So you would have to continue to make a circle around the ridge since we put you where you're looking at the south side of Boston, this model of Boston. You'd have to continue this. It is a smaller scale, but that still makes it, you're taking multiple square miles and just doing it at a smaller scale is still quite a large structure. And you're trying to make note of those when you each hear the rapping of what sounds like a staff on a rock. And that draws your attention to a figure who's standing up on an outcropping. He's clothed in a white and gold robe. He's tall and slender with scaled skin. Upon a long neck is an ophidian head with inscrutable eyes and a lipless mouth. A forked tongue darts out and tests the air. The creature is regal and priestly. With your archaeological training, your familiarity with the Egyptian myths and stuff, it's no wonder the pharaohs wore the uraeus on their headdress, that snake that was the symbol of their power over their domain. And a question forms in your mind: did the ancient Egyptians have some contact with the serpent folk? And an answer comes shortly after. It's entirely possible. But anyhow, he's wrapped the stick on it, and he's just looking at you guys. But that's worth a sanity roll.
I'm only as sane as Jimmy now.
You guys disappoint me. Yes, so you hear in English, and without the lisp that you associate with Mr. Blackman, this figure says, "Who enters the dream of Sathagua?"
Sathag.
One who seeks knowledge.
I'm going to step behind.
And I'm going to point to Lance.
We just carry his bags.
I'll try and do my normal gregariousness. Lance Monroe, we only came out of curiosity and see that this place is one that has many, many mysteries to be solved, and so we took it upon ourselves to take a look. And you might be?
You may call me Rasa. And there is a extra sibilance on the S's in his name, and it he pauses on him for a little bit. So let's see. I have to. So did you actually say that, Whitmire?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just didn't point to Lance.
Lance. Okay. Well, this is a dangerous place for your kind to seek knowledge. Perhaps you
But
should
it's
go back.
Made to be dangerous, but no risk, no reward.
Very well said. And what about your third companion?
I'm Wallace Andrews, and I don't know how I got here.
Yeah, he just showed up.
I was just trying to sleep. Perhaps Sathagua has called you to his domain.
I don't know who that is.
You will, soon. Have you guys come to beseech that mighty old one? I can show you the way if you are lost.
I know the way, as I've come to seek knowledge from your kind, though.
Do you have a specific question for me?
Who is your daddy and what does he do? No, just playing.
Well, first, what is this chamber?
Yeah,
Obviously, it is a source of power and draws power to it, but what is its purpose? Why does this appear as if it's a map of Boston, and why is only one location truly lit up as it is?
This is the dream construction of mighty Sathagua. He dreams eternal and builds dimensions beyond our understanding.
But why Boston?
Well, we have learned that his eternal fantasies are mutable by careful suggestion, and we have interests in Boston. As I'm sure you well know if you are here.
Yes.
It is said that he came... sorry, go ahead.
As I was going to just say that I came seeking knowledge and power over this dreamland, just like Zagua, as I want to control it.
You want to control the might of Zagua?
No,
an incredulous
the dreamland.
Oh. Yes, I see, but this is his dream construction, and your control would be minute at best. It's a dangerous thing to do. Even we don't understand his might or his dreaming. It is said he came from the star Arcturus long ago and dwelt upon Mount Vormithadrith in ancient Hyperborea. He was here before any of us were.
Are you saying that you have no control over anywhere in Dreamland?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we've learned some measure of ability to manipulate Sathagua in his sleep for our own purposes.
When's he going to wake up?
Only the stars know.
Have you tried to wake him up?
We have all gone before Sathagua to receive his blessing. He never wakes, although he does eat on occasion.
Well, should we go get his blessing?
Last time he tried to eat us.
Yeah.
Need to get some of those, what were they? The boys, the gang?
The kids.
The Great Knights?
The Great Knights.
You need to get a couple of them.
No, I'm saving them
Although-
for my own rituals.
Maybe we'll have some measure of protection if you feel that we can trust this lizard.
Well, I'm going to ask the wizard or the priest or whatever, are you here in the flesh or are you projecting as we are?
It is my watch over the dream after a long rest to keep out interlopers.
Well, I believe those of us here have made an agreement with those of yours that are working in Boston that we won't interfere, but we still seek understanding.
Well, then follow me.
Okay.
So he walks down into this forest, or this mini model of Boston. And as he's going, he wraps his staff on the ground, and a vivid image seems to spring from the rocks. It's a park with many paths and strange plants that evoke the warm climate of the Comanchean era, which is the Jurassic era, right? It was an antiquated term that Lovecraft used. But anyhow, you see in this park a crocodile slipping into a pool. Adolescent serpent folk run along these paths to the center of the garden, stopping every now and then to entice a simian creature from the trees with a piece of fruit. These hominids are wary, but certain of their kind cannot resist the temptation. And Rasa continues. You know, I used to feed your ancestors in the park with my children. My offspring were delighted at the clever little tricks you would perform. Every great city had such a park. It was not until much later when I observed your kind domesticating wolves that it occurred to me we had been selecting the cleverest of you over long years. How bitter I felt when your pet wolves tore my offspring to pieces. How bitter I am still to wake and find that your knowledge has grown and that you have become like one of us. And this air of menace sort of settles over all of you when he lays out this brief little history.
I still have that crowbar, right?
Yes.
How big is this guy? Is he like...
He stands of a height with you.
Okay.
The only distinction is his arms are longer and he has a tail.
Well, can I use, like, medicine, like, to see if I can determine if there's any weak points?
Sure.
If they'd be different from a human?
Yeah, go for it. We'll you need a hard success.
But I'll converse with him while he's sizing up where to hit him. I'll say, do you continue to hold enmity towards those of us that are descendants from those humans, even though we've had no even knowledge of your species throughout our entire existence?
Your ancestors had knowledge, but of course I do. I mean, do you really look at me and think that there can be peace between your kind and my kind? Isn't our shared existence a paradox?
I wouldn't say exactly that. I believe that perhaps an uneasy truce could be brokered.
I
don't
is
know
a fairly
that I
large
would want a
world.
truce.
This is a fairly large world, and there are places that people can exist.
Well, in order for us to live on the surface of this world, it must look very different than yours.
Yes, I've noticed that you seem to be moving towards a different habitat, as it were, increasing certain elements in the atmosphere and changing things.
Yes, and will you quietly slink off to the caves in the earth to survive such a cataclysm?
Well, if the
Would
projections I saw are right, then it won't happen for many, many, many years. But humans, like your own folk, will survive however they must.
All right, Dr. Andrews, so with your medicine roll, you can't pinpoint something exactly, but the alarming thing about examining the physiology of this serpent folk is just how rooted in regular biology it is. This isn't like the Dark Hunter, which was somehow apart from the physical world. Mm-hmm. This looks like something very real, just an animal, but with consciousness, walking upright like a man. And in response to Whitmire's question, would you? He says, well, we did at the snapping of your trained wolves and your sharpened sticks and the encroaching cold of the north. But we didn't forget.
I must admit that considering how long-lived your species was prior to, I suppose from your statement, you domesticating humans, I'm surprised that they were driven underground so easily.
Well, most of the work was done by the changing climate. To be fair, you guys were basically useless, but we have our own trained wolves now. And he wraps his staff again, and you see the glimmering of light up in all these rock outcroppings. As you notice, the hominids kind of come out from the rocks, spring forth from the rocks, but they don't do anything at the moment. There's just a number of them up there looking at you with their curious, glistening eyes.
And these are like monkeys?
Right, yeah.
You have trained monkeys.
Yes.
What year are we? Okay, we're in 1920.
1920s.
When did the what was that monkey? When did that come out? Bozo? No. There was a monkey in the movies. What was he?
Yeah, a monkey wouldn't be exactly right. It just bears more of a resemblance to it.
Well, it seems like your kind never learned. As you say that you domesticated and trained us, and then we in turn trained other animals to attack you. And here you've gone and done it again.
Well, we learned from our error. You kill the mutations, keep the stock pure.
Yeah, Bonzo. When did Bonzo?
Well, even by your own admission, it sounded as if we were just simply happenstance in the greater change of the world's
50s.
climate, and that humans played a very small part of you being driven underground.
Yes, but you are not worthy inheritors of the earth.
Although, could you say that your folk are if they were unable to stop the cataclysm the last time?
That is our thesis. Wind you back 1,000,000 years and see how you do in the face of such a threat. We have learned a thing or two under here. We have knowledge just as you do, but whereas you are unable to conquer death, we have after a fashion.
Well, I wouldn't quite say that we have not been able to conquer death. There are those among us that...
Mr. Mueller is working at it as we speak.
Well, not just Mr.
He's
Mueller,
soon to
Reverend
break the code.
Thompson. But
So, Dr. Andrews, did you want to take any action? You think a blow to the back of the head would... his brain's got to be up there, right? You can make that out.
Yeah, no, not yet.
Okay.
We'll play this out a bit.
are we continuing to walk through the boss?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you watch one of these flashes of light trace along the conduit.
Okay.
It leaves a ghostly after image for just a second before it shoots off into the barn. And this barn is full-sized. It's not at the scale that the rest of Boston is, and that's where you seem to be approaching. And as you guys approach, he opens the door for each of you.
Before I enter, I'll say, is this actually the building in Boston, or is this just a facsimile or a projection?
Perhaps both are true. You shall find out. I'm not calling for a psychology roll because you guys should be tripped up by
Him being a lizard
the
man.
menace is not guarded, you know.
This fellow clearly doesn't like us.
Yeah, I don't really think we should go into this place.
Yeah, I'm going to hesitate before going in.
I judge you to be quite a sinister character, and I don't trust you. You go in first.
I thought you said you were curious.
True.
Curious, not stupid.
Hesitancy has kept us alive in our curiosity, and curiosity must be balanced by a good amount of caution.
And of course you would feel that way. Evolution has designed you as such to look at us with fear and loathing. What do you think that I see when I see your stinking sweat on your forehead? The thought of you up there building and eating and breeding.
I imagine you feel jealous that you're a cold-blooded creature and can't manage to sweat and are slave to the heat forever.
Quit throwing it in my face.
Does he have a tail?
Yes.
Can it? I'll ask him if it grows. Will your tail grow back if it's chopped off?
Is this going to clue you into some secret information?
No, it's just like I'm nervous, but I know that there's some lizards that can regrow
Right.
limbs, so I'm just like trying to figure out what he is and how he works. You know,
Got a real Charleston Heston vibe from you, though. With
yeah. You damn dirty apes.
but I'm human, and I can feel, and I can...
Yeah.
He says you wouldn't be able to chop my tail off in the first place.
Yes, but are you truthfully remembering in time in your own life far before our recorded history begins? Are you really that long lived?
No,
Or
we
do you
have
a
we have a natural life and death cycle. We have found ways to subvert it. Those of us who turned to Sathagua.
I see. I have no idea what you mean.
So, is it only the worshippers of Sithagua that continue to exist, or are there worshippers of Yig that survived as well?
No, they are there, probably content with their subterranean delving into arcane matters. They have no vision.
Are they the ones responsible for the cold bodies hanging up in that room, or is it your kind?
No, those are our bodies.
What do you do with them?
That's part of what I'd like to show you.
It's a food? You eat them?
No. Well, in a way.
They wear them and consume them that way. As I don't think we should go inside here, though. And based off what I feel he's saying is we're going to become those bodies in the cold storage.
Yeah, cue the line from Dark City.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll give Dr. Andrews the signal.
Whitmire's making eyes pop 'em.
yeah. I'll give him a good whack.
All right. So there's a way where you can make it where he can't react to it. You could say distract him with some social skill of yours, or have somebody else cause a distraction, or you could, with stealth, just make like you're not going to hit him over the head with a crowbar, and then
I'll
you get a free
fast
shot
talk
at him.
him to distract him.
Okay. Well, let's have a hard fast talk.
How about a regular fast talk? I'll push it. Can I push it?
Yes, but he start when you're in the middle of like your fast talk, he's like, "Please stop your blubbering lips. It's so disturbing to watch your kind speak in such a rapid manner." But you, what's your angle since you succeeded on the push? Dang it.
Well, just to get him angry, focused on me.
Okay, so
As if
maybe
he already doesn't like hearing me, then that's it.
Yeah, fast talk him into believing that his people belong underground and humans deserve the surface.
Yeah.
You tired of hearing me talk? You want to shut me
Pathetic,
up?
weak race can't even stand a little bit of cold. Well, you deserve to be underground.
this is like
Look at you. You don't even deserve to see the sun anymore.
this is why Lovecraft didn't have the lower class interacting with, because they would just start talking trash. They're like, you know what? I don't care about your stupid whatever this model you got.
I'm an American. I got rights.
I'm a doctor. I went to college. Add blood at you.
Yeah, you could see he's gotten quite well. I mean, you see some action in his eyes that you guess is a signal to his rising temper, which gives you the opening you desire. You don't. All we're looking for is a fumble. So go ahead and roll your fighting brawl skill.
Push. Oh, you can't push combat, huh?
Now, it's an auto success. We're just going to make sure he didn't flub it up, which he didn't. And so with your crowbar, you deal 1d4 plus 1 plus bonus damage, if you have any bonus damage.
Where would that be if I did?
In your combat tab.
Can I give him some of mine?
No, I don't have bonus damage. 1d4 plus 1?
Yeah.
I have minus 1 bonus.
So 1d4.
So 1d4. 4.
That's a good hit. But it seems to impact on something that you can't see that's just above the surface of his skin. And he turns and looks at you. That action of his temper rising in his eyes, those ophidian eyes, the pupils go to slits. And he moves his staff towards you, but we'll let the other two act before he does what he's going to do, beginning with you, Mr. Whitmire. So you see the blow had no effect, but not because Andrews was bad at his aim, but because it seemed like it hit something before it touched him. What did you want to do, Whitmire?
I want to try and tackle him into the doorway.
Okay, that's a fighting brawl roll.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Man, John.
He'll just try to slap you to the side, but he's not that good either. And you, Mr. Monroe, you can see Whitmire's tried to tangle up with this creature.
I'm like kind of caught off guard by all this, and so I'm confused.
You
Like,
should have
what?
watched for the
What do
signal.
you do? Well, I was actually like conversing with him while you two were like, go on.
Your fast talk actually started getting Monroe angry about. We are apes. Dang it! All right.
So yeah, I'm just gonna be like flabbergasted as to how
Doing
this
some shadow
evolved
boxing.
Yeah.
so suddenly.
Well, in your moment of gathering your wits, you do hear the patter of feet begin to clamber down from the upper areas of this chamber. Sound you have nightmares about now because
Yep.
they ganged up on you and beat you to death.
Yes, they did.
All right, so yes, he was reaching out with the staff, and it transforms into a snake to wind its way around where Whitmire had thrown himself between the two of you in his attempt to push him through the door, and it just comes over and touches you briefly. Give me a power roll.
Wow.
See, this
Nice.
is why you didn't fail,
That's
Chris.
an extreme success.
But he does have a 150, so, but still, he only got a hard success. So there's a moment of shock as whatever the intended effect was does not take place, and he gasps there, which brings us back to you, Dr. Andrews.
I'm going to grab that snake staff and yank it out of his hands.
All right, let's do a fighting brawl roll.
Which hand do you use?
Am I able to assist in this at all?
Well, both.
Oh,
Oh, both? Okay. Hopefully you'll wake up with
Nice.
it in your hand.
okay, yeah, so on a tie, he got a hard success as well. The aggressor wins. So you grab it, pull the staff from his hands, and it's writhing in your hand now. And the answer to your question, Whitmire, is you can assist in the way if you tried the very same thing, you would have a bonus die on it, or he would have more difficulty in defending against it.
Oh, okay.
So yes, Whitmire, or Dr. Andrews has grabbed the snake staff out of his hand, but it's writhing in his hand, which brings us to you, Mr. Whitmire.
All right. Could I use my dreaming to try and force Dr. Andrews out of the dream now that he has that?
Yeah, that will make the action a little bit more difficult, though. You're looking at a hard dreaming roll.
Could I use luck?
You sure can.
What would that need? 5 luck or 6?
What is it for hard?
Oh, it's round up, I think, on...
Round up, so 5.
Yeah.
Okay. And use 5 luck. As the goal was to try and force him out of the dream with the staff.
Right. Well, you can definitely force him out of the dream. We'll leave it to a separate
Well, I'm
roll.
hoping that his hand is going to
his
play a part here.
creepy hand. Right. Yeah, so Andrews blinks out of the dream, and you're plunged into your own nightmares, but as you depart, we can leave it to an extreme power roll whether or not your hand works its magic.
Forget it.
They're going to get it, because I in no way envisioned that you would remove his staff from a dream and bring it into the real world. Oh, dang it. Too much. Too much. And the staff clatters to the ground, returning to... Well, no, it remains in this snake form, and it starts slithering back towards Rasa. Which brings us to you, Mr. Monroe.
I'm just going to try and wake myself up.
Regular dreaming roll.
It was very nice meeting you.
Nope.
Better
So-
luck out of there.
Yeah, then I'm going to... Well, we're pretty much in the center of this bowl, right? This cavern.
Yeah, you're right outside the ghostly barn.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to be looking around at all the hominids that
Yeah.
are probably charging down at us right now.
They have a few rounds before they get to you, as they're still picking their way down the jagged slopes.
Okay.
But that is your action, so unless you want to move somewhere, we'll call it good for you.
Yeah, I was looking to see if there might have been an avenue that I could escape through, but yeah, it seems as if we're surrounded.
All right, Mr. Whitmire. Rasa reaches out his long reptilian fingers. He puts 2 of them together and touches them to the side of your head. Give me a power roll. So he got you with the extreme success, and you lose 5 sanity.
Ooh. Can I get hit with that?
You've already been hit with it, just in a different way. Yeah, so the way this manifests is, filtering down through the many long years, comes some ancestral memory of lurking in the trees. That's where your homes were, your food was gathered, and this sort of ripple that runs through others like you, where it's snakes are in the grass, take to the trees. And what awakens in you is this primal fear of a mortal enemy, one not just in the lifespan of Homo sapiens, but one that runs all the way back in your line of evolution to the early mammals of the Jurassic period, and you are taken with complete terror. But let's see how it manifests itself. Oh, I hate that one. That one's for Brandon's character. Yeah, so this awakens, unlocks a phobia in you of snakes. So I'll leave action up to you as normal, but any attempt to interact with this reptilian person is impossible. Okay, Whitmire?
Okay.
Dude, that probably should have been Brandon's. Like, that's getting pretty close to Dr. Jones territory.
Right. Well, Whitmire is the archaeologist.
That's true.
If he wants to be. So that was his action. So that's you, Whitmire.
You try to wake up.
All right.
As I'll use luck to get out of there.
Okay, what is that? 11 luck?
Yep.
Did you deduct your luck from the last one?
Yep, I got 3 left.
Nice. Okay. So now Whitmire disappears, leaving you, Monroe. The hominids are about a round away. Now they're flowing through the mini streets of Boston, with their clubs and their tiny rocks, some of which are whizzing past your head.
Okay. I'll try to wake myself up one more time.
Okay.
You're about to get beat up by a bunch of...
Yeah, and you don't know whether or not this thing can make that real, man.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? How much MP you got? You could run to them.
I was considering that, actually.
Was it?
I'm considering 2 options. 1, I run through the barn door. 2, I run to go get killed by the hominids because I know that they didn't actually kill me last time.
Yeah, this is like when Maddox died and Maximilian had to incinerate the corpse before it could get eaten. Yeah, and you go through that barn door, you might be getting rode around by a snake thing.
All right. D100, top 50, I go through the barn door. Bottom 50, I run to go get killed by the hominids.
Okay.
Really? Exactly 50. I think that technically puts me
Best
in run
out
of
of
the
2?
hominids.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it'd be 51 through.
So yeah, I'll just turn and flee in whatever direction is away from the priest.
Okay. Yeah, so you within the round, you reach the front ranks of the hominids, and they're taken aback at first because they didn't expect you to charge towards them.
Yeah.
So they don't really attack you right when you get there. I mean, you still have an action you could take once you're there. You've only just decided to move, so...
Punch one.
dive into them. Dive into the mass.
I'll just kind of do like someone trying to charge through a group of people. I'll like cover my head and just try and duck my head and run through.
Okay, so yeah, you charge into the mass, and eventually they tangle up with your legs, and you go down, and you feel the old familiar blows of a hominid beatdown landing.
I've now been beaten to death, 3 times?
And your consciousness fades to the laughter of Rasa in the distance, and then you wake up with all of your MP drained, and you feel tired and very disturbed. Now, for Dr. Andrews, you had been forced out of the dream by Mr. Whitmire, and you fled into your own dim dreams, which, now that you have this, they kind of put you into a lucid state, and that carries over. So now this isn't an unremembered dream. This is you standing in Whitmire's safe house, awaiting the Dark Hunter to step out of the portal, when you had gazed into the portal and saw the fractal dimensions, the multiple Andrews that are out there. and you had been transfixed with that, and the Dark Hunter had come up to you and tore your arms off, and he was holding them there, and you were reacting to the burning sensation of your torso being open to the air, all those severed nerve endings singing at once, and arterial blood jetting across the room, and the Dark Hunter just pauses there, swaying before you, and then he cocks his head, or it cocks his head, and he puts your arms back in place, thanks to Mr. Monroe's counter action.
Oh no, it's even worse.
But in that brief moment, you had lost consciousness. You were technically dead before time was rewound a little bit, and you were brought to life. And as a doctor, of course, you had heard many stories about near-death experiences. You recall one old man who had died after a heart attack but was revived by luck, who seemed disappointed when he came back. And in your conversations with him, he talked about a cabin that he grew up in as a kid. And, his mom and dad were there, his grandparents, people that had long since passed. Even one particular case of a friend that he had inadvertently caused their death was there, and all had been forgiven. And he's like, Doc, why'd you bring me back? Only like half joking in a way. And you realize in that moment where you had died, in between it putting your arms back, you had gone to that beautiful dream of your wife and daughter. And so when you leave this nightmare and you wake up in your room, it is completely devoid of anything interesting, anything that wants to moor you there to this reality. And you're left with the thought, did I go somewhere in that brief moment I died, somewhere where my wife and daughter was? Mm-hmm. Because it was the most beautiful dream. Meanwhile, Monroe is screaming when you wake. Whitmire, you woke up in a much better state, and you were kind of gathering your senses.
I'd like to wake up screaming too if I'm really that fear-driven.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Actually,
I'll find some place, like I'll get out of whatever area I'm in as quickly as possible to get to the highest safe house that I know of.
Okay. So, yeah, you flee past Dr. Call and Mr. McCracken, who were awake. What are you saying as you run out of here?
I'm shout. So I'll just wake up with just a scream, and then I'll shout, "Got to get higher," and run out the door.
Well, they both had some knowledge of what could happen as a result of these dreams, and I believe they had some direction to wake if any visible terror occurred or something like that. So they are trying to stop you, but you can slip past them pretty easily with a successful dex roll.
Pretty easily.
Gone.
He's terrified, so he's like a greased pig.
All generalized.
So in our timeline, then you would wake up after Whitmire's already fled out the door, and you see a very perplexed Dr. Call and Mr. McCracken.
I'll just kind of shake my head and say, I hate when that happens.
So this is you say your third hominid?
I think this is my third time. Well, not necessarily hominids beating me to death, but third time I've been
dying in the dream.
Yeah, I've died in the dream.
When you got the big Italian, I really wanted you to wake him up, because all I was going to have him do is just be like, finally, my revenge. Just beat you down. But, oh, well. Okay, so yeah, you're there. There's some event that's happened in the room, and you see Mr. Whitmire's missing, and a weary-looking Dr. Andrews is rousing himself from sleep.
Okay, and I'll be checking myself to see if I have like blood dripping from my ears or my nose or any of the places where I could feel the blows.
No, you don't. You do feel very tired. You expect you look as Dr. Call did when he woke after being torn asunder by the formless guards around Sathagua, or Zagua, as the term you guys know better.
Okay. But yeah, I'll just shake my head and try and gain my bearings as I look around, and probably notice that Jimmy's gone. So, and since I had just seen him disappear from the dream while he was mid-combat with the lizard guy, I'll ask him what happened to him.
So yeah, Dr. Call just says he woke up and he was babbling about he has to get someplace higher. I dare say he was still in the dream as I was. I was unable to stop him. He's a slippery fellow.
Yeah, it's probably kept him alive.
McCracken holds up. He scribbled a question. Do you want me to go after him?
Yes,
Okay.
go after him. When he finally comes around from what we experienced, then he could probably use your help. It'll just take him a while to shake it.
All right, let's pause on you guys for a moment and return to Mr. Mueller. In the same room, the impression that time has passed and an individual is standing before you, one of these consortium members, you can tell by their dress, and he has a container from which he is pulling out a dust or maybe it's salt. The grain is coarse enough, and he's throwing it over your now naked body. Your clothes and your possessions that you had on you have been removed and placed who knows where, but he's throwing this coarse-grained powder on your naked body. And he sees you rouse, and he says, "Good morning, Mr. Mueller.
Guten Tag. Where am I?
You are close to Zagua himself. We have come to an agreement in the consortium that perhaps it is time for you to make the plunge."
I'll stand up, I guess. And I'll head kind of held high, shoulders square, as much as my old form will allow me to do. Very well. It is about time.
Are you sure you are ready to ascend?
I was ready decades ago. It is time to leave this mortal coil for a higher plane.
Very well, Mr. Mueller. Please follow me.
Yeah.
So the door he opens, the only door into this room, actually opens into a much smaller space. And you can see there's a heavier door on the interior side of it with like the spinning bulkhead wheel type thing that he spins. And then it opens out into a long procession hall from which you can see miniature versions of Zagua holding up a railing off to your left. And he beckons you through it. On the other side is Mr. Blackman, the man on the train, who seems pleased to meet you, or see you again. Mr. Mueller, I am very happy to see you. I do have a question for you. Was it you who sent the hunter after your own companions?
Of course. Why wouldn't I?
Truly, you have become like one of us, and worthy of Sathagua's blessing. Please follow us.
Oh man, I'm so going to get eaten. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, he leads you down this procession hall. They're in sort of a triangle ahead of you, three of these consortium members, the one that was in the room and the two that were waiting outdoor. And you hear the rising chant, these syllables that were indecipherable when you heard them in the dream of the mound. This 1, 2, 3, and a held 4. Sa-tha-gu-wa. Just goes like that over and over again. And unlike the dream version, you can see the hominids are the ones doing the chanting up in these railings, just masses of them.
Can I recall any of various research I've done, the appropriate means to sacrifice?
You can give me an intelligence roll to see what you remember if you don't remember anything as a player. Very nice. So Ibon in some of the writings about him had said the Latin words somnum manducaru or mandukari procreari. Those three words were a protective measure when facing Sathagua, but also to bring a sacrifice with you, which you are short of at the moment.
So it worked for both?
They both seemed as though that it was something he did both stages. He said the words, and then he had a serving person that worked for him that he pushed towards Sathagua when he knelt before his might.
Somnum.
Mandukari procreari.
Was it pro? Damn, sorry.
I'll spell it for you.
Okay.
I think you actually roll the R on this one, but I'm not very good
Well,
at that.
I'm potentially. Could you do the whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
So I just copy paste it. Do I remember anything of the actual sacrificial ritual?
No, it was more like,
Just a written thing?
yeah, in the story, you got it by a story from the De Vermis Mysterious about Ibon's meeting with Sthagua, where he just brought his serving person, said the words, pushed his serving person to be eaten if Sthagua was hungry. That way it wasn't him.
Which of these would be the lowest in rank, if I could discern that?
You mean the words?
No, the creatures walking with me.
Well, you don't guess that it's Mr. Blackman.
Mm-hmm.
You will do a psychology roll.
Okay. Does this skill actually work for me at this point, or am I closer to like Hannibal Lecter's psychology here?
It does work for you. I think your conclusions you would draw off it based would be where you go wrong, right? Because you come up with like weird ideas of how you might trick them. But yes, you do identify one of them to be lower in rank,
Okay.
as he's deferred to both men as you proceed down this hallway, alongside a rising chant where you go through some columns into a dim area, which there is no light. One sec here. And you see some electrical equipment. Some of it looks like radio equipment to you. It's set off in the corner in a way, although the microphone is over large, you would say. And you see a person crouched there, a naked man covered in dirt. You don't recognize him, but he's huddled there, sort of shaking, sort of flinching from this rising chant as you approach. Okay, sorry. Okay, so your footfalls stir up this dust, which for some reason it enters your head that you're looking at millennia old bones, just gone to dust. But you also see grisly and decayed morsels rotting where they fell, the leavings perhaps of Sthagwa's feedings. This comes in the way of severed hands or putrid innards or worse. This does trigger your gag reflex, so give me a constitution roll. Nice.
Wow.
That's a 99.
Yeah, that's
over
close.
15.
Well, all that happens is you puke up masses of hair, basically, just like all you ate was hair recently. Unfortunately, that is more sand loss.
Come on.
That was the biggest sand loss I think I've had yet in the game, was puking up those snails.
Yeah.
All right. How much, or do I need to roll the sanity?
Yeah, roll your sanity.
Ah, dang.
It's a 1d4.
Ooh, that does it.
All right, so we'll stick with you on this bout of madness, deeper into your paranoia. You know that these guys aren't leading you there for their own gain. Why would they? But perhaps you're on the right track, and there still is a play you can make here. You will just have to wait and see. You've already identified your sacrifice, and you do remember that amongst your list of people the Dark Hunter was supposed to go after, that Mr. Blackman was one of them. And maybe if the timing is just right, it can work out in your favor, but we will see. So you keep it together, at least as far as you think.
Well, this falls into his manipulative
Right.
trait. So, yeah, we're still within the bounds of his insanity.
So you cast your gaze.
Anyone sane looking at Johan right now would probably not.
Yeah, no, they would know instantaneously.
He's trying to kill someone.
Okay, so you cast your gaze around the room and you see at the far wall, beyond these stone basins that are filled with a dark liquid that is stirred by some unseen current, you see the formless mass of Zagua, upon which lolls a massive toad-like head. Its bulk is immense and covered with a loathsome and glistening brown fur. 2 legs and 2 arms sprout from the fleshy mass, all possessing unnatural multi-angled joints and equipped with wicked-looking claws. Its face is dire, with slitted eyes revealing yellow-red glowing orbs, above a grinning mouth running from edge to edge. Within are gleaming rows of jagged teeth. You can see translucent skin stretched across its belly, giving a full view of the digestive process taking place in, and floating near the edge of it is his most recent meal, who is in a better state than when Monroe saw it, so you can actually make out the features. Not a person you know, but you'd be able to see him or recognize him if you were to see him again. Once again, sand roll.
Oh, come on. Did it roll? No. Okay. Ooh.
That's a 1d20 sand loss, please.
Ooh, 1d20.
Whoa. I'm glad we survived that sanity
Oh,
loss.
whoops. Sorry.
What happens if you get to 0 sanity?
Yeah.
You're NPC'd. So that brings you down to what? A 4, which we have crossed the threshold, right?
Oh, we crossed it at 13.
Yeah. Okay, so once you behold the might of Zagua, you realize how ancient of a being it is. It even would predate these serpent folk who at one point seemed mysterious and powerful and must have had amazing
Can
mastery.
I be monologuing what you're saying?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
No, just
Oh, yeah,
I'll
right.
be kind of like whispering it.
But they're as weak and pitiful as you are as a mere human. They don't understand Zagua, not like you do. The elder things, the old ones, which you saw who had created you by accident or jest long ago, they understood Zagua. They knew when he would arrive on this earth and when he would come to again. And it's with this understanding that you proceed forward, assured that Zagua will give you his blessing, which does come down to a luck roll. But are you going to begin intoning the words? They kind of push you forward to approach Zagua.
Yeah, so when they go to push me, I guess I'll try to, have they started chanting themselves?
No,
Okay.
no, they stay clear.
I see. Yeah, when they go to push me, I'll start chanting, and I'll grab one of the lesser ones. Hopefully he's one that pushed me,
Okay.
and I'll try to get him in front of me.
All right. So let's get the luck roll first. We'll give you a bonus die on it.
All right, bonus.
What's a -1?
It
Did they
didn't.
change how they did this?
Yeah, it didn't pop up with anything. You want me to just roll luck again?
No, you rolled a 0, so I think you rolled a 2.
Okay. So my luck is 54. So
Yeah. So
So
you
it is
got
an extreme luck.
Yep. All right. So, you can grab this guy. He's so surprised at it when you do that we're just checking for a fumble on your fighting brawl.
the way the dice have been going, I wasted all my luck trying to kill them. It's not a fumble, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll do that, and I'll start. I'll shout out, "Summonum mandacura procure," or whatever it is,
Right. Yeah. So
and
you
try to push them ahead of me.
Yeah, so you push the consortium member forward, and out snakes the prehensile tongue of Sathagua and wraps around him. At the same time, a bead of darkness forms in this dark interior space and begins to grow to the size of a man, and out steps a dark hunter. And for the first time since you've ever interacted with Mr. Blackman, you see doubt and fear play on his face. And he's saying, "What?
Is he looking at me?
Yes, what is
I'll have like the biggest, like probably blood-stained grin, because I've probably been chewing on like my cheeks raw too. So
With
yeah,
those crazy eyes, too.
All right, one sec here.
I sent the dark hunter after all of my companions.
Okay, so yeah, you must focus your attention on Zagua though, and you hear something happening between the Dark Hunter and Mr. Blackman, and you hear a cry of terror from Mr. Blackman, but Zagua is all encompassing, and you watch as that tongue grasps the consortium member into an ever widening maw, one that opens with like 3 leaves. There's a split down the middle, and the process of being eaten is quick, and the many-toothed maw you can see just grinds the consortium member into the bare number of pieces required to go down the gullet.
Mighty Zogua, give me your blessing.
And he splashes into the digestive fluids. And rather than a look of terror, you see a look of wonder across his newest Mill's face as he bathes there in the burning acid. And then your mind is probably completely and utterly destroyed because Sathagua connects to it. So there's a chance, sanity roll.
We were pretty close to getting NPC'd anyway.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh my god.
How much do I
It
lose?
was an excellent roll.
So this one's a D20/D100, so this is a D20 again on a failure.
I would not have believed that roll
No.
if I hadn't just seen it happen.
Yeah, no, a 4 versus a 4.
All right. NPC'd.
Okay. So yeah, you're connected to this eternal dreaming state of Sathagua. You understand that what he eats are like the atoms of his dream building. You see the consortium lose his sense of self and just become some eternal structure in Sathagua's dream constructions to be there forever, for all time, amidst thousands, millions, billions, countless other bits of consciousness that act as a tree or whatever. But you see a far distant terrain. Hold on, I lost it. Dang it. With striating ridges and odd pillars that slant in one direction. And it's not quite communication you have with Zagua, but you do get the impression that he is offering it is to you whatever you seek. So, with the final moment, as Mueller turns around to see the chaos sown by the Dark Hunter, where Mr. Blackman has been killed. What was your exact wording on that? I have it in older notes. Let me pull it up.
Oh, what? The wish to transcend the mortal body into that type of thing?
No, what you sent the Dark Hunter to
Oh,
do.
I forget what I sent the Dark Hunter to do to him.
I'll pull it up here.
Yeah, I think Johann started running out of a lot of ideas because I think by the time he got to Whitmire, he was basically just ripping him apart.
You remember the librarian having some extra brutality added to it.
Yeah, the librarian's on that list too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see that Mr. Blackman has just been killed in some efficient manner. Maybe the neck was crushed by the strong hands of the Dark Hunter, and the Dark Hunter is returning to the portal from whence it came on to the next victim, your librarian, which does leave an interesting thought. One of the few final thoughts in Mueller as a PC's mind is that if he got to Blackman, that means he went through Mr. Merriweather. So
This will bring the last bit of Johann that I'm able to do. Great pleasure.
So what you have is the blessing of Sathagua for what you seek, which you can answer, and the final remaining consortium member there with you, looking at you in awe at your ascendancy. So what is it that Mr. Mueller, as your final PC action, what's he getting from Sathagua?
Immortality in some fashion beyond getting not getting eaten by a dream,
Right.
but some way to essentially elevate his soul to where it's its own vessel. He no longer needs a vessel, but can inhabit others as need be or whatever.
Okay. And as the answer to this wish floods into your consciousness, a smile spreads across Mr. Mueller's face. Thank you for the villain. All right, Dr. Andrews, you're waking up from a nightmare, one of your own making and one that you shared with your companions in this journey. And one way a scientist gets to the truth of matters is they reduce things, concepts.
That's true.
And all of these dream journeys, the occult or mystical side of this investigation have done nothing but confuse you. But if you reduce what you are doing here to its central problem, it is still to free a young boy from the corrupt justice system of Boston. And you know that today, you and Whitmire and Mr. Monroe are to make a journey in the evening out to Danvers Asylum to make sure that documents favor Wallace Bowers as the person who committed this heinous crime against Mr. Dooley. So, in a sense, you're pushing away all of the distractions and trying to refocus yourself because the world, it's just gray and lifeless right now. You're still too close to that dream of your wife and daughter. That thing you suspect might be what happens in death, these near-death experiences, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, there you are. McCracken's gone off after a fleeing Whitmire, and a very drained Mr. Monroe is trying to issue directions for what has happened, but he's very tired.
So, is there any time left for us to sleep at all normally?
You have slept for quite a while, actually. You can see as you check your watch that it's 3:30 in the morning.
Okay. I'm going to ask the others if it's okay if I try and get some natural sleep.
I will remind you that may not be up to you. You might have to remove the Toad's figurines in order to do that.
Which, yeah, I suppose I could do.
Or you could ask Dr. Call, too, as well.
But yeah, I'm going to be pretty haggard and still trying to shake the feeling of being beaten to death from my mind.
What happened? I suddenly was snapped out of the dream.
I don't know, but you were quite lucky that you left at the time you did.
I didn't intend to leave. I had his staff. I was going to strike him with it.
Well, perhaps he's sent you from the dream. After you, he turned to Mr. Whitmire, and then Mr. Whitmire also disappeared.
Every fiber of my being finds the existence of such a creature insulting, heretical even. But, you know, we do still have to go alter the records at the sanatorium.
Yes, we do.
Which we're supposed to do today, and it's 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, they're not open right now. Hopefully McCracken can find Whitmire.
And speaking of McCracken, who is now being played by Chris. Chris is Finn McCracken, the stalwart mute guardian angel of Jimmy Whitmire, who you are on the trail of now. As it turns out, he hasn't made it very far since you got the okay from Mr. Monroe to go after him. He's gone out in the street, and Whitmire, you've stopped there because that temporary bout of madness has come to an end. However, you are in a delusional state, and anything that appears in your peripheral that can be confused with a snake does so. So you're constantly wheeling around looking at, you know, something dangling there, some vaguely oblong shape.
Light posts,
right.
Power cords.
And that's continuing on. But this idea to flee to the highest space is not, you don't have to adhere to it. But you're within, you can see each other, I should say.
Yeah, I'll go walking up kind of like, once I get within, like, once I know he notices me, I'll start doing like that. You're trying to calm a horse type thing, you know, like just motioning him for him to calm down.
Movements of his arms remind me of the snake.
Yes, actually, they
I had two snake
when
arms.
He tries to calm you down. Yeah, it seems like he's extended two writhing snake arms at you. Now, these are delusions, but you have to treat them as though they're real until you attempt to deny them, or you have some other rationale as why you might ignore them. You know what I mean?
I know this is Finn McCracken by his face, regardless of what arms he carries today. Can I use that as a rationale to?
Yeah. So you I suppose you're just trying to focus on the part of him that looks like a human and not his weird snake arms writhing at you. But you still see them there hissing and and coiling in your peripheral, but as long as you stay focused. So for you, Whitmire, he has a pinpoint expression, like a pinpoint right on your eyes. It's a uncomfortable level of eye contact.
Can I tell he's made nervous by my arms or any?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'll kind of put them down and.
So the snake arms go out of your sight.
Yeah.
Mr. Whitmire.
I'll heave a sigh of relief, and I'll try to explain some of it, but it'll just be jumbled, right? It's like mixed between, the just snakes, like snakes and lizards, and living in trees, and it just to where it doesn't make any sense. But any time that I'll bring up, the snakes or lizards, eyes will get wild again.
I don't know how much of all this stuff that McCracken has put up with over the years.
Let's do a little backstory. So you were employed by Meriwether. He sort of rescued you out of poverty. It was an odd encounter. You were just working as a longshoreman, not making very much money in Ireland, as a matter of fact. And he was walking along the street. I mean, you just saw a man in a nice cut of clothes, but he stopped and he seemed particularly fixed on you for no reason that you can discern. And he just made you a job offer, and the money was too good to resist. But as you worked for him, you came to actually like him. He was an honorable man in his own way, but he was taken by dark tempers, not tempers, but like fugue
brooding
states.
Yeah, okay.
And so you seeing McCracken in the place he is now is a mirror of sometimes you would. It's like if you had a drunk master that you served and you had to put them to bed. Sometimes, occasionally, you would find Meriwether, passed out over some tome.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to take him to his room.
He might start swinging.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, you were present when, for odd things, you don't know the results of them. For example, you were present when Nicholas Sauceda's body returned to the States, and Meriwether performed something on it, but then the box was closed again, and you delivered it to where it was supposed to go. You're not sure what the result of that was.
There wasn't an odd thumping from the coffin?
Not while you had it, anyways.
Okay.
And so you've just been adjacent to this oddity, and it's these odd events, and it's mostly come to the fore in recent years. One, when you were in the Corbett house and you saw that corpse resurrect, and now recently alongside these guys and the Dark Hunter you've seen a few times now. And you're still reeling from watching, you were certain you watched Dr. Andrews be killed by the Dark Hunter.
But something's wrong with that.
And you fled, and he's alive now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll, was it, we got someplace we need to be, right? Soon?
Not that you're necessarily aware of, but you know you were just out here at Monroe's direction. That's actually your hotel room that everybody was in. So.
Great. All right, so yeah, I'll just kind of put my hands in my pockets, and I'll kind of motion back towards the hotel to Whitmire, like, come on, let's go.
All right, Mr. Whitmire.
So I will follow because I do trust Finn McCracken.
Yeah, you come up to the lobby doors and you hesitate for a moment, Whitmire, because you can see that those door handles are snakes.
Well, also when the light, when you open the door, the glass door, how it kind of shimmers everything.
Yeah.
And then
Crawls.
I become a snake.
Yeah, your eyes have that reptilian cast to them with the slitted irises. But as always,
So I'll just put a hand on McCracken's shoulder and close my eyes and say, I need you to see for me.
you do. Well, there's one other thing you see in the reflection, and that is, of course, the black man at some distance behind you with his eyes blazing and that halo of light around his head. He doesn't seem to be advancing, but oh, what a fool you have been to think he wasn't there that whole time since you saw him last. This one's worth some sanity loss. John, did you want to try to deny these delusions? You have to succeed at a sanity roll in order to deny them.
No problem.
As I have my hand on the McCracken. Nothing can harm me.
He's basically Ash.
Yeah.
Double barrel shotgun takes care of everything.
Yeah. So you squint your eyes closed for a moment and you focus on the sensation of your hand on McCracken's shoulder to moor yourself to reality. And when you open your eyes, the snakes and the black man are gone.
Because I do want to offer him a job, though, once we figure out that Merriweather's not coming back.
All right. So, once it feels like Whitmire's ready to start walking, I'll guide him back to the room.
Okay. So once back, you can see Monroe's settle himself down to try to get more sleep with what's left of the night.
And I'll start writing the screenplay for Hear No Evil, See No Evil. Sorry.
But Dr. Andrews is still awake. So you three and Dr. Call are there in the room. So, gentlemen, was anything learned from this bout of exploration into the dream?
I learned that I am as a child to those reptiles when it comes to physical strength, but as, my mind, at least for the moment, is on par with theirs, I believe.
Well, if you say it, I believe it, Mr. Whitmire. You're a sturdy man. Bit of a scoundrel, though.
A few things we did learn was that there are a surprising number of...
I picture Monroe like curled kind of fetal facing the wall, but talking. Trying to sleep, but can't stop talking.
Well, right now I'm probably still sitting on the side of the bed. You know,
No,
with my head
that's
in my hands.
how I'm picturing you now, too. Sorry.
So I have to be in the fetal position.
Yeah, you're trying to get back to
Talking
sleep.
to the wall.
But I'll mention we did find out that they have some sort of what look like breeding chambers, many of them, and that the porcelain home seems to be central to whatever they're planning in Boston.
And they're manufacturing an army of, was it hominids?
Yes, ancient human-like ancestor offshoots.
This sounds like something Gary Riggs would write, but I don't know what to do with it. Dr. Andrews, what is the rational course forward? I'm a man of science as you are, but I cannot see it. These powers arrayed against us seem too great for us to face directly. Perhaps we should handle this matter with young Mr. Murphy and transplant ourselves away from snakes and interdimensional beings.
Yeah.
And gods, especially gods.
I can't think of any course of action that we might take that would be successful. No one would believe if we tried to alert anyone.
Oh, and McCracken, you had recently got a line on a portion of dynamite should you need it in the future, just so you know.
Wait, we do. We need to blow up the barn.
Yeah,
Well, that is in real life or in the dream?
I believe that they're one and the
if
same.
we destroy it in real life, and all those pulses were going into it, it must have some power there.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Do
we
we
still
think
have
that
the
that would-
option of sending some dynamite through one of those portals.
Is this the barn? Is that where Zatagua rests?
I don't believe that's actually where he rests, but I believe that it is a conduit for the power that they're trying to absorb for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it must be some type of vessel.
Right, because
but
that's
I
where
do
all the ley
agree that
lines
we
go.
should send some through those doors that we found as well. There's the Wilbur Theater, the safe, there's the sarcophagus in Mr. Monroe's back room.
Yes, I still need to put that on display.
Let's change the wording of that to we need to destroy those. That way I can at least write and tell you I have dynamite.
Yeah.
Well, I think we
need to.
specifically
I think
asked you to find it.
Yeah, I had asked you to find us.
Now I got it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll scribble that out. One of my guys in town has a line to it shouldn't be that hard in this era,
No,
right?
No.
Yeah.
It was just,
But
I think
he's-
you were looking at more of a quantity than, say, you could go into a store and
Yeah.
buy a stick of dynamite to remove a
Well,
stump, right?
I also think keep it off the books would be a
Right.
big thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, some off the book dynamite.
After we blow up some rich people's house, I'm sure that it will help make a law to restrict access.
They'll just blame it on the anarchists.
Yep.
That's good enough.
They were the mad bombers in this era. I
Um,
think 10 years before, but
Well, destroying that house may be all and good, but I believe that we have one appointment that we need to take care of before we do anything else today.
yes, the troubled young man, Mr. Bowers, at Danvers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm expecting confirmation this morning from my contact there. And to remind you, Mr. Monroe, you attended one of Dr. Freud's lectures at Clark University. Sorry, the lie slipped out before I could reel it back in, and
That's quite all right.
I don't think it should come up, although my contact is a fan of Mr. Freud.
And before we had actually gone to sleep, when we were doing our like downtime, I'd been reading through that book of Freud's theories.
Right. On dreams,
Yeah,
on the interpretation of dreams.
Kind of what Lance has come up with as part of his cover for going in is that he believes that psychosis uses the same part of the brain as dreams,
Okay.
and that you can use dream analysis from Freud to analyze the ramblings of a mad person.
Don't forget to buy some cigars.
Right.
I have no fetish like that.
No, but if he's such a fan, he might smoke cigars just out of idolizing,
Yeah, and Dr. Andrews, you are, of course, Dr. Andrews, the good doctor.
Mm-hmm.
There's no cover for you. And Mr. Whitmire, you are a young psychology student learning from Mr. Monroe himself this new theory of psychosis and dream relationship.
This is how you create villains, Travis, is you have to have...
And Mr. McCracken, you will fill the role that it seems you fill in life.
Yeah, I'll write valet on the piece of paper and underline it and tap it.
Yes, yes. As no one could confuse you with anybody else or anything else. Well, there's no loss of dignity in it, man. Cheer up. We all need a good valet. And you are Irish after all.
Yeah, you're used to discrimination in Boston.
That's what sent Mueller on his craze. That's what got Dooley killed, is that type of talk right there.
No, actually, that was misrepresenting Dr. Call.
No, I have no such intentions with McCracken to go on a murderous rampage.
Well, then I think I shall return to make sure all the matters are settled, and I will get confirmation to you before you are to depart. I'd say if you catch the early afternoon train, you should make Danvers by the appointed time, which gives you a few hours in which loose ends can be dealt with.
Very well.
Okay. Thank you.
What's faster in this era, the train or car, for getting
Train.
there? Train.
Yeah, they don't have good road systems for...
No highway system yet.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering if I should drive down there early.
Yeah, well, I mean, driving has its advantages, so you don't have to stick to a schedule, but most of the roads aren't laid out in flat or straight lines that allow for great speeds. So usually you're stuck to like a 25 mile an hour or 20 mile an hour to make the turns required, whereas a train will go, I think, 50 miles an hour in this area.
All right.
The ball's in your court, gentlemen. What did you want to do with the time?
Sleep.
Yeah, 'cause I'd like to see if I can get my mind right.
Yeah, I'll try and get a few hours of real sleep.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I will ask Andrews, what stopped you from bringing his staff back?
Oh, I'm afraid I don't know. I don't even know how I exited the dream. I had it in my hand, and, for whatever reason, it didn't have the same effect this time.
As I'll admit to sending you from the dream world in hopes that we would be able to recover the staff on this side.
Oh, I see. No, that
obviously that was folly.
True.
Because he broke me.
Yes, I see that you and Monroe have suffered some ill effects from whatever happened afterwards. But I think that we should plan on destroying the barn.
Yes.
I think that might
agree.
Be the course of action we can take that has the best chance of having some effect on this situation.
Because I will not suffer those things on the surface.
Well, apparently neither will the weather.
And then we have an ally.
That's true. You are currently in an interglacial period, so it'll get even worse once the glacial period happens.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I will do something a little out of character, though. I am going to ask if Mr. McCracken has anything to drink in here. It's not tea or coffee.
Do I?
You can take over from this
Irish.
point if he would or not.
Yeah, he's Irish. So, I'll pull out a flask and give it to him.
It's not that I've never drank before. It's just I don't
normally
don't
do it.
really enjoy it, right? So I will take some and kind of cough a little bit, but hand it back and thank him.
Yeah, I'll hold it up, kind of do like a toast type gesture, and I'll take a sip too, and then put the cap back on.
Okay, well then you guys rest up a little bit. I'd say at that time you would probably naturally wake up around 9 or 9:30 to finish off the night of sleep. And McCracken, you had been watch over these guys, so of course you need some sleep too.
Okay.
And you wake, so you still have a few hours before your appointed time to leave to Danvers. You wake to the confirmation from Dr. Call that all the arrangements have been made. You'll be given a tour of the facilities and allowed to speak to young Bowers.
So just for my magic point situation, how many hours has passed since?
When you wake, it would be 6 hours.
So 6 hours, including travel time out there?
Yeah, well, from then it would be, you would probably be close to full. How many do you have?
18.
Oh, not quite. So let's
I
see.
have 17.
You'd have 15 by the time you got to Danvers.
Okay.
I had 5 left. Are we recovering at a rate of 1 per hour?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I got beaten to death, so all my magic points were gone, so.
And
So what about hit points?
hit points, if you haven't taken a wound, they recover at 1 per day. If you have taken a wound, they won't recover until your major wound has been healed. It's a slightly different process. You do a check once per week, and depending on that roll, you get hit points back or not, or your wound gets worse in some way.
Oh, do I need to make
I was
one for
missing
my
one
wound?
hit point.
Yeah, you can mark it back.
Okay.
I think that one you took in the dream, though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so just erase it. It transferred over to magic point loss when you woke.
Oh, okay.
So you're back at your normal, what you were with the wound
Yeah.
before you went into the
my
dream.
9 hit point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say we have enough time to go get our normal breakfast.
It'd be a bad omen not to start at O'Lafferty's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can go catch the train.
Whitmire, you also get a telegram from Detective Wayne Nichols, who has confirmed for you that there is nothing in police records that his men were able to track down that indicate Wallace Bowers was taken in or held in police custody at any time. So it would seem that it's just the institution he's at that would have that information.
Okay, so yeah, I'll share that information then.
Okay.
As it doesn't look like there's anything on file except for at the hospital itself. So as long as we can get in and not encounter any issues, then this will work.
I'll nod.
And then over breakfast, and I suppose while we're traveling, if we're taking regular transportation, or I guess, John, are we taking your car?
To the train station at least, unless McCracken wants to drive.
Yeah, I'll drive my car too. I mean, no reason not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys can take. You just have to set out like 2 hours earlier, maybe,
Okay.
maybe even less.
Just over the travel time, as long as Whitmire's not driving, I was going to go over some of the Freudian terminology and stuff, so that he at least he can pull off the student of.
Yeah, I think we should do the train, like, park the cars at the station and then take the train out there. Because if not, then we won't be able to start the day right.
Okay, so the train it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys have a nice breakfast with this standard quality fare you have come to know O'Lafferty's for, and then you gather up what you need. If there's something specific, make sure you write it down on your possessions.
Dynamite.
Because
Right. So we're going.
lock
what's-
picks.
What's
and
the name of the
forgery
asylum?
tools.
Danvers State Hospital.
Danvers. Yeah.
The contact you have there, according to Dr. Call, is one Dr. Phelps.
Okay. Well, I am gonna take my knife.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just make a note of it on your character sheet.
And my
And-
38.
You guys board the train.
All right.
Do we still have one of those Dark Hunter little hairs or fibers or whatever?
Yeah, I don't remember who had it last, though. You had the portion of it returned to you from the
I have it. Yeah,
university.
from the university.
Okay, we should probably bring that with us, see if we can use it to trigger a response if all else fails.
Oh,
Insert
okay.
it into the skull
of powers.
That's a last resort.
of yourself.
Oh.
Gain its power.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I'll try and bring along some sort of journal or notebook that looks like it's used for research purposes.
Whitmire, you're more of a master of disguise, at least a fast talk. So as you're kind of looking over Monroe, did you have any tips you wanted to help him with to blend into his role?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first, how do you present yourself today, Mr. Monroe?
I suppose if we are going to Danvers, then I'll put on a more standard
Less
suit.
flamboyant.
Yeah.
So what you can do, Whitmire, is roll out a fast talk. These are just a few things to say, a few tips of behavior that will give him a bonus die that he may use on a social skill roll of his choice. But because it comes from Whitmire, it also gives your social skill the effects of a fast talk roll, meaning it would unravel. Say if you use charm, it will unravel at a certain point.
Only if I use it.
Only if you use the bonus die.
Okay.
And it looks like you got that with a hard success, Whitmire.
Correct.
So he's given you a rundown, some quick and dirty tips. These come in the way of how one expects a psychoanalyst to behave, especially one who has met Freud personally.
One of the tips also is to just make sure that you ask their opinion on it. Like before you get too detailed, act interested in them and ask their opinion on it as well.
I didn't
And
realize
then
that
you just mimic their opinion, basically.
I didn't realize that Dr. Call had gone so far as to say that I had met.
Well, you were at his lecture.
Well, I figure there are lots of people that go to his lectures that may or may not have actually had contact with him.
Yeah, well, he...
Yeah, your personal friends. You stayed the night last night. Let's go.
Okay, so boarding the train to Danvers, you have a nice ride through the countryside, and the train lets off actually not too far from the state hospital. They have a stop there from which you can walk a short distance. You can even see the structure in the distance. It shared an image of it, but I'll show it to you guys again. This sprawling structure with two wings on each side of the main building that are kind of staggered back. They make sort of like a bat wing type shape if you were to look at it from the air. And visitors would approach the main entrance, which you guys do after your short walk. And once inside, you have the attendant there who takes your names and forwards the message to this Dr. Phelps, who arrives in short order with a pair of nurses. And he is a small, although tan-skinned man with a beaming smile on his face, and he has a shock of still black hair, although you can see he's probably in his mid-50s, and he seems pleased, and he's trying to, angle onto one of you guys. He dismisses McCracken as not the...
Can I be holding some of their, probably Monroe's belongings, I don't know, write on a notepad before we get in there, or on the train or something, when we get in there, hand me your overcoat and a brief rundown on.
I probably have a briefcase or an attaché case or something like that
and I'll make sure that when they come up, I'll look to Monroe as if how I should compose myself.
Yeah, I'll have my doctor bag in case I need to get his pulse or whatever.
Okay.
And
he says, good afternoon, gentlemen, or good evening, I should say. How are you doing? I'm trying to put a face to the names I was giving, but I'm not sure.
I'll hold out my hand and say, Lance Monroe.
Oh, a pleasure to meet you.
A pleasure to meet you as well.
Do you not extend your hand all the way, forcing him to extend his hand, and thus it's a power move on your part?
No, I step into his...
his personal space?
Into his personal space as I grab his hand and do that.
Roughly jerk it out into the middle and then aggressively shake.
No, more of the step close so that our arms are between us and bring the other hand up to behind his shoulder so that I've kind of got him trapped.
So he reacts with wonder at this this powerful understanding of body language. You put him in a disadvantage, and
masterful move. I'm disarmed.
Yes, I'm pleased to give you all a tour today, especially such a esteemed gentleman as yourself. As I understand it, Dr. Calls said you actually attended one of Freud's lectures at Clark University.
Yes, it was a most insightful lecture on the relevance of dreams and just give a little bit of a rundown.
And did you, as I understand it, he gave it in his native German. Do you speak German? Do you understand?
No, I'm afraid I had to have a translator nearby.
Well, what do you?
Oh, I was going to say you could pull out some of Johann's German that he's heard, because he probably was talking here or there at all times.
Well, yeah, I'll actually mention. I have a good friend companion. His name is Johann Mueller, who is a native German speaker who helped me translate. There was a little bit lost in translation, but for the most part, I believe I got the majority of what he spoke about.
Well, I'm afraid if he had spoken in plain English, there would be ideas lost. His ideas are quite advanced. I am actually a proponent of the free association method and have been making motions to get it in use here at Danvers. Of course, we have a protocol that we must adhere to, but I have seen some results.
Yes, well, as any kind of progress is made, it must be done cautiously for the health and well-being of the patients, as well as for our own safety in dealing with some of the more problematic psychoses.
Right. Well, gentlemen, if you'll follow me, we can begin the tour.
Very well.
And I want to keep an eye out for anything that looks like a records room.
Okay, so according to Dr. Call, they had those stored in sub-levels. When you grilled him about it, he said it was, he didn't go down himself. It was brought to him, but he suspects it was in either the front center or the rear center, the main building of this installation, not in one of the wings.
Okay.
And Dr. Phelps is walking along through the front center where you guys entered, and he's saying, here's a dining hall. This is the superintendent's office, so on and so forth. And he kind of shows you how it runs. Like you see a kitchen, and they have because this is a 4-story structure, they have a system of dumb waiters from where all this food is run throughout the facility. We have service tunnels that our staff can move to either of the wings without perturbing the patients here. But then you move on to one of the wings. This is the west wing, which is for female patients. And he says the closer rooms are for patients we have some hope they will recover. And as we go to the further edge, that is our most troubled patients. And he's going on and on. But you have a moment you think you can slip away if you'd like, Dr. Whitmire. It's not a really great one, so if you do it now, you would need to succeed at a hard stealth roll. Of course...
Could he signal me and I'll give me a chance to distract?
Yeah, we could do some sort of combination like that with your companions if you want.
Yeah, I would feel better about that as one of them distracting. So if we had a signal arranged, as when I see the opportunity, I'll give it.
Yeah, given the nature of the mission, I don't see why you wouldn't have come up with something like that, knowing that you would have to gain access to a different part of the tour, probably. So, unfortunately, you haven't had enough time to work a persuade roll, so it would have to come down to charm, fast talk, or intimidate. Fast talk and intimidate might put you on a different course.
Could it be like an educational intimidate, like flexing the old academic muscle?
That's not a bad idea. We could do that. It would be at the same difficulty. You could try to reach whoever was going to perform it, could try to reach back into what they had heard about psychoanalysis, particularly free association, and you could get into that. And free association is the kind of like, tell me how that made you feel, sort of basic pop psychology type stuff, only now it's the cutting edge. So did Dr. Andrew, one of you guys want to try that?
No, it'd be better if Monroe did
I'll give it a shot.
Did the distracting, because I don't have that skill.
Yeah, I don't have psychoanalysis skill. My charm isn't horrible, but education would probably be my best bet.
Yeah, but with the education one, though, we would have to change it to a hard for that one to work.
Hard education or a regular charm?
I see what we're doing here. Okay.
This is
Remember,
to give...
you get that bonus if you need to.
Yeah.
All right, so...
There's my stealth.
I'll do the education roll hard. I'll use 3 luck to give him his bonus.
Okay. Well, you do have a bonus on it. I don't think we have to roll it though, Whitmire, because it could become a 2 instead of a 12, but that's still just an extreme success.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Whitmire, his reputation is correct. I mean, you get the signal, you go to perform the action where you lapse into this.
Yeah, I'll start just going into my theories on.
Yeah. At every turn, you expect him to call your bluff because you have no idea if anything what you're saying is true. But you are an expert at word salad and whatnot, so he gets confused in what sounds correct. But then when you glance over your shoulder quickly, you see that Whitmire is gone. Now, for your part, Dr. Andrews, you are distinctly uncomfortable in these places because your sister is in a place like this, and you have yet to visit one that gives you a strong impression on their ability to cure your sister. However, this is all top of the line, and at least as you go through this first part of the wing, the patients do seem to be well cared for. But the tour continues on, and as you go, you see more and more disturbed female patients, and the sound of these areas changes where you hear, cries of terror or mad ramblings and that sort of thing, or just a relentless banging, unspecified banging coming from one of the rooms. All the while, this Dr. Phelps is telling you some of the afflictions that these particular patients have, but in your case, with Mr. Whitmire, you're in that front center part of the building. You saw that there was a stairwell next to the kitchen when he was showing off the kitchen and how they had these service tunnels and dumbwaiters that ran to all the different levels and down the wings. Let's try a hard navigate roll to... You're kind of... All right, so you're 5 short. You do want to luck or push that roll?
I don't have enough luck.
Okay. Well, you...
Push didn't work. So now I'm lost now.
Yeah, so you...
wind up in a bathroom somewhere.
Yeah, these service tunnels in a structure like this are actually kind of perplexing after a while. So you went down one and out into an opening, and the room you came out into sort of confused you, but there was a person in there, and they're like, "Can I help you? Are you supposed to be down here?"
Well, the way that I'm presenting myself is that I belong here, right? And so, if they had given us any type of like visitor badge, I would have hidden it at that point or before, and just rather walk around with nothing, saying I forgot it, But I will try a fast talk in that. A bit newer here. It was just transferred from another hospital that I have heard of at some point. And I'm trying to find the records room for, and then I'll, one of the doctors, right? As if I'd seen any names in there. If not, then I will use the name of the doctor that we're meeting.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, hold on.
It did need to be hard, though.
Yeah, I forgot to switch it back. It would have been a success as 63 versus 75.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he you can see his suspicion sort of fade, and you play it up pretty well. But you do know that this now sets a timer for you for when it will unravel. But
that's why I'm asking direct. Like, I need to know exactly where it is so I can just hurry and get there.
Yeah, he says, well, you're on the wrong side. You need to shoot down that service tunnel, and you can't miss it. It's by the laundry down there, just down that hallway where all the records rooms are.
Yeah, I'll thank him, as I swear these places get more confusing the more sophisticated our sciences become, and then I'll turn around and leave.
Well, hold on a sec.
As I'll stop and look at him questioningly.
He says, "Can you run this upstairs for me?" And he just hands you a piece of paper. Give it to the attendant at the front.
Yes. And I'll go ahead and take it.
It just looks like an order for some sort of supplies, but then you're able to shoot off and follow his directions. And you go past the loud banging and other sounds coming from the laundry to where this archive is. And there are multiple rooms. So this now comes down to well, you got two options. You could roll out your luck and maybe just happen across something, or you could try a use library roll to narrow your search.
I think the use library is going to be better than luck at this point.
Okay. How'd you do?
Horrible failure.
95 versus 37.
Okay. Not quite a fumble.
Think you can luck it?
You could push it. Getting thrown out of libraries is fun. And you're already in a sanitarium.
Because what do I got? 3 choices here?
You can push.
Should have brought the dynamite.
Well, setting the place on fire is plan B, just so you're aware.
Libraries always have secret rooms where they keep the good books. Johann knows this for a fact.
All right, so what is the consequence to the push?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of. Anybody got any
You get
ideas?
caught.
Yeah, getting caught's one. You just realize, as you always do when you enter a library, you're like, oh, I probably should have gotten better at this. Or any archive, usually in your past, you just do the go into the archive and destroy everything because it doesn't really matter, which could still work in this case. The problem is there's multiple
setting
rooms.
The place on fire is plan 2 or plan B.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just have to go with you're pushing out the time, so the clock's ticking, and you'll surely have that guy coming around asking a question for something that didn't make sense to him. But I'm going to pause you right there before you make that push roll.
Okay.
Since it'll be a little bit of a time jump for you to do it. And we'll go back to the other group as you guys have concluded your tour of the women's wing and are now walking back towards where all the men are housed. And again, the ones with the most promising signs of recovery are stored closest to the center. And you make your way down to the far end where you know that Wallace Bowers is stored and kept. And so far, Monroe and Dr. Andrews have kept up correct appearances. Same with McCracken, who's quite at home filling his role as valet.
Yeah, I'm walking at the very tail end of everyone. Yeah.
Now, Dr. Andrews and Mr. Monroe, what is your interest with with young Mr. Bowers. He hasn't been with us for a very long time, but is there something particular that you think that this free association would work exceptionally well on this young man?
Well, I heard that he has, in some of his ramblings, mentioned occult or mystical undertakings.
Yes.
This has particularly sparked my curiosity. As I have mentioned and I'll kind of go into my dream theory, I begin to wonder if there's some part of the primitive mind that latches onto that in dreams as well as in psychosis. And so part of my research is to find these people that have these kinds of speaking patterns and try and find a common thread through them to see if there is any part of the id or the super id that, just super kind of roll through every single one of my Freudian terms.
That's very fascinating. I do have a couple things to attend to while you guys do speak with him. While you speak with him, it's such a pity that I can't watch you work to see a descendant, as it were, of Freud work his magic.
I do have to ask, just for our safety's sake, is he violent in any way, shape, or form? Is he properly restrained, or...
He is restrained. We're going to keep him at the table, and you will stay behind the bars to his room. But we can fix him upright, and you will be able to speak with him if he does, in fact, even acknowledge that you are there. He's never intended to harm anyone, but I think he is always trying to escape, and he has taken violent action against those who have gotten in his way. Broke the nose of one of our... What do you call those guys? I forget. Orderlies, yeah. After, you see, we had him in the convalescence wing when he first arrived, thinking it was just some temporary fugue, but we were mistaken.
Well, thank you for the information. If he becomes violent, I will make sure to just simply get out of his way.
And as you'll see, there's orderlies here, and here. Just signal to one of them if you have any issue.
Very well.
So they set up this room. You go into an antechamber before, like at the bard, and there's bars, and then there's the padded room beyond it, right? Mm-hmm. And they have him strapped to a gurney, which has some mechanism on it that can elevate him to a standing position. And he's sort of sitting there, writhing around in it, and snapping at the air and mumbling something to himself. But you guys are left alone for the moment, and this wouldn't be a Lovecraft story if we didn't get a block text of mad narration. So this is what you guys would hear before you even try to speak with him. He says something like, "All life is an illusion, a trick of light and gravity and perception. The end is like the beginning, past, present, and future. All are one, and one is all. He is the key and the gate, and he knows when the old ones broke through and when they shall break through again. Our existence is a mere experiment or joke. How weak can a creature be and still be tapped into that great chaotic consciousness at the center of all? We are the answer to that question, but we see with the dimmest of vision. There are phases and angles that intersect with our reality, but we cannot see them, except my eye has been opened. Above and below, without and within, to one side or another, all sides and inside, they float. Strange and unknown radiata that defy description, they feed on us. They would not be here if we were not here, like some rotting corpse in the forest, drawing out all the carrion eaters. They are eating, but God, what are they eating? God, they are all over me, and all over you, too." And his eyes fix on you for a moment, just brief, and then he lapses back into mad ramblings.
Can you make heads or tails of this?
No. There are certain phrases that seem to almost make sense, but I can't quite put my finger on what exactly all of them together would mean.
Right.
Are we alone in the...
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I'll mention, this concept of like the Zagua and being outside of time and how he might be trying to...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Elementary stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like watching Brandon's expressions.
The idea was we would convince him to write a confession.
Writing a confession might be difficult.
No way. Insane people write whole books in this universe.
But I'm not sure.
I
if we're
thought
allowed
he
to
already
give-
had confessed.
He confessed to
Yeah,
Dr.
we were
Call,
Oh,
which
okay.
would, Dr. Call would, of course, be a witness to that, which would count in a court of law. It's just not as strong as if he had written it in his own hand. Because after all, the prosecution will, they could bring
Hearsay.
somebody to, just say it's hearsay. Huh?
Or, something like that. Mhm.
So I guess I'll take the notebook that I have and start writing out.
What he's saying?
Write out what he's saying, but I also want to start penning out a confession.
Yeah.
For him to sign.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you're writing down what he's saying, and some of the other stuff he goes into. He talks about how he led the ritual. No, Monroe led the ritual. No, Monroe led the ritual. No, Bishop led the ritual. No, there was an old man there. He was the one behind everything. And then on and on.
I guess we'll try and steer him in a way towards his participation.
Okay. Well, let's, there's a few different ways we can do this. The most appropriate skill is the psychoanalysis skill,
Yeah.
which you can kind of, even if somebody's in like a temporary bout of madness, somebody who's well trained in that can break them out of it to a degree. So that's what would happen here. But I'm not sure any of you are trained in that. So we can leave it to any of the social skills. It would just be at a harder difficulty.
Yeah, I was thinking that we could try to persuade him that Zathagua, who is it that is that who they their thing was about?
That's what the lizard people is about. The Porcellians, it was the Watcher in the Darkness, right? That their stuff had continually talked about.
Well, there's a lot of unreliable sources, so they will have conflicting names that could be the same person. You guys are not sure.
Yeah.
Well, Watcher in the Darkness is good. I was thinking we could just try to convince him that that's who we work for and that he wants him to confess.
And having the hair, whatever it is, from the Dark Hunter might help us in that.
Yeah.
I guess we'll...
And that, the evil lead in the paint won't let him talk to him in here, so he had to send us.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he understands a little bit about, well, no, he might not, but time dimensions and whatnot.
Right.
And having to summon...
But said, has the Dark Hunter attacked you in lead-based paint rooms?
And it's like maybe the reward, because so many people are taking credit for it, the reward can't be dispensed. And so if he does this confession thing, then he'll receive, whatever it is that they're supposed to get, everlasting life,
Gold
and
coins.
freedom, of course, freedom.
freedom, and
And then
all you can eat clam chowder.
That's a
Says
good deal.
Boston.
So appealing as agents of the Haunter in the Dark, was that what you guys were going with?
the Hunter in the Dark,
Yeah,
or the Watcher in the Dark.
Watcher in the Dark. Okay. Yeah, then he immediately launches into questions, like, is it true all of time is an illusion? And that he desperately wants answers to, and it will take a skill roll. So which do you favor? Who's going to do it?
I have a 77 persuade. What do you got?
I got a 70 persuade or a 50 psychology.
All right, so I'll just try to persuade, and you can make motions that give me a bonus.
Oh, we know how the persuade works.
Does that sound all right?
Baba da boopy.
Why don't you give your occult roll to back him up as to appear,
All right.
as something mystical, right?
Okay. Hard or regular on that one?
We'll do a regular for yours.
And what about mine?
You'll get a bonus if he.
I got hard anyway.
Okay. So yeah, you would get a bonus on your persuade.
A regular persuade?
Yes. No, hard persuade, but we don't give you a bonus if it's hard. We're going to take you to regular, so you're good.
Okay.
All right, so we'll pause there on your success. As we know, Persuade takes a certain amount of time to return back to Mr. Whitmire, who's going to push his used library roll. So may I have that roll now, Mr. Whitmire?
Always push. Always push.
37.
All right, so you get a sense of it. As I said, you are most often destroying paperwork, so you don't have to find the specific thing. But here you're trying to find the specific thing, and you figure out how their filing system works, and you have the paper in your hand, which is just the admittance paperwork for Wallace Bowers. As far as you can tell, that's the only thing that they have here to say when he was committed. And without this, it would fall to a much less convincing piece of evidence to say the date he was committed. But it is in your hand, and that's when you hear an alarm go up in the building. Mr. McCracken, would you give me a spot hidden roll or a listen?
Can I turn the whisper off, or do you want me to keep it on as a...
Oh, no, I didn't know it was still on. I usually just turn it on when I'm messing around in between sessions, so I don't...
Spot hidden or
listen.
Listen, let's see which one's higher here.
Oh.
Wow.
It's because I can't talk that I can listen so well.
Yeah, I got those
Critical
superhuman.
success.
Dude, it makes me so sad that you don't have him with a higher fast talk.
What is his fat? That would
5.
be funny.
but here, just...
Scribble.
Okay, so you hear a mumbling, like from I don't know. At first you think it might be a patient in another room. It's coming from somewhere distant, but then your ear kind of pricks up and you pick out that Latin is being spoken, but at a low level and in a rapid whisper. And it draws your attention out of the cell you're in, where you look across this hall to other cells, and you see, you wouldn't have caught it so soon, but you see a kind of bending of the bars, like a trick of the light. Like something's causing them to bend and shimmer a little bit. And then you see black points form and begin to expand.
Have I seen something like this before?
Yes, you have. In the basement of the University of Massachusetts and at Whitmire's safe house, yeah.
So the next sound that happens is the sound of 2 hammers cocking back on a shotgun.
Okay. Unlike those other times, this is multiple such points.
Oh.
And the whole of that one side of the wall seems to turn into a big portal where all the surrounding it is like warped and stretched.
Can I make noise? Like, I know I can't talk, but does he? Yeah, so I'll...
So you hear this alarmed exhalation of breath behind you.
All right.
And the cocking of the shotgun.
Yeah, the cocking of the shotgun would probably draw my attention.
So you see several of these dark hunters step out just in time, just as you guys turn. And you also see a young, ill-tempered looking man. But there's something not quite right about him when he steps out, and it takes a moment for you to notice that his body is in like a state of flux. Like he's constantly morphing at various ages. At times he'll appear old and then young. You get different genetic expressions, slightly different hair colors or eye colors. Furthermore, he's sort of fuzzy at the edge, like a smudged watercolor. And it has a disconcerting effect on you apart from the Dark Hunters. But that is where we'll have to end today.
Oh.
Thank you, Travis.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for playing, guys. Welcome back, Chris, to the table.
Thank you.
Glad we could
It's
send.
good to have you back.
Glad you could all be there for my ascension.
This has been a Death Watch production. Thank you for listening.